r/NuclearRevenge. First story. A story that I kept to myself for so long I'm drunk and on mobile. The story is told as I'm thinking it. So I was a sailor. I was the trainee engineer. It's a title in engineering department of merchant ship. I had a very evil second engineering officer. He was just below the chief engineer, but his relative owned the shipping company which owns the ship we were sailing in, so basically he ruled over even the captain on board, who was a very good mentor to me and a guy I'm still friends with. He was very abusive and a very evil human being. He was almost 7 foot tall, huge and intimidating. He was also a Syrian, but took refuge in Lebanon with help of his ship owner relative, illegally of course. This will come up later. Our ship sailed through Atlantic from Lebanon to Philadelphia, where they load cattle and bring it to Lebanon for meat. Our ship was small, 80 meters long and 30 meters breadth, and each time when we go to the US waters we would repaint the whole ship's interiors. The journey is around 18 to 20 days one side, so there was time to do the whole ship. Also there was no limited working hours or anything in that ship. It was all under one evil guy, the second engineer. Onto his evil deeds he did to me. He once told me to fight the electrical officer because he was bored. We were working. He said either we fight or there's no going to cabin. I worked for 32 hours straight that time because electrical officer was as old as my father, around 50. He always wakes me up when his shift of watch comes up, even though my watch starts 4 hours later. And it's not for working. It's to bring him tea from the mess, and after giving him tea massage his shoulders and back for around 30 minutes. He would always make me do 2 people's job by myself, like lifting motors that weighed more than me. This has given me back problems for life. My lower discs are screwed up for life. Once he threw a makeshift Molotov at me that he made from turpentine and beer bottle. The reason, I discovered him pumping oily water from the bilge, basically a tank at the bottom of the ship, straight to the sea, and questioned him. I don't know how US Port Authority never figured it out by themselves. There's a lot more, but now you get what he was. So we were 3 trainee engineers on board, and we were sailing through Atlantic and the sea was angry AF. We were rolling 15-20 degrees each side, means our ship madly tilting sideways along with the waves. And we were painting the engine room. It was my 18th hour or so, and we are trying hard to keep steady with the paint tin and brushes. Sailors who are reading this would know that he has broken every code in the book by now. So one of my friends who was painting some pipes lost balance and dropped paint on the floor. Second engineer saw this from afar and ran like some WWE actor and kicked my friend in the face. Then when he was down, second engineer kicked and punched the living hell out of him. I still remember my friend asking me what was the point of spending all the money and time to be an engineer if this is what sea life is. We were all first time sailors. The ship reached Philadelphia and the rule among us was to act like we don't know English or else face the very bad consequences. But before reaching the port my friend told me we have to end the reign of the bitch. You know who, right? The second engineer. I'll call him bitch from now on. So we wrote a letter, a huge one, stating everything. From the abuses to the marine law breaking to his gold smuggling. Yes, it was there too. And we waited for Coast Guard to board. They boarded and did their routine checks and all, and searched us and our rooms and collected our documents for further looking up. Man, US is strict. Then the port authority came along and they have a person who talks to every crew members and finding if anything suspicious is going on. When she got to me, I told her everything and showed the letter signed by 30 over 35 of our crew. Then we told her about the abuse and all. She was livid. She checked CCTV and sure it's all erased. Then Port Authority did a thorough RAF inspection on the engine room and found the bilges empty to the sea, which is like major crime in marine world. In the end bitch got arrested in US soil and they tried sending him to Lebanon, but his passport was fake. It was not even his real name. He was a legal immigrant in Lebanon. He got immediately sent to Syria. The rest told by the captain later to me. He was a criminal who was on lookout by the Syrian police. I don't know why, but it was something about joining the army or something. His relative escaped him from there and made fake passport and documents and sent him to sail, which still happens in a lot of ships. He got arrested and later killed by gunfire in his own country. All his relatives escaped to Lebanon before all this, so there was no one to even take his body. He died like a dog. I hope you are burning in the deepest hottest hellhole, Fez. Edit. Oh lord, this blew up. And thanks a lot to the someone who took time out of their lives to give this story a gold. Ill spent it wisely. One small loophole in the story I forgot to add noon realized was how the bitch got US visa. He didn't. None of us did. Only our captain had a US visa. Because of this, the US Coast Guard and 2 Navy officials would board the ship with full gear, shotguns and armor around 60 nm, 110 kms, away from US soil, and they gave us all numbers. And every 4 hours they'll come and ask what our numbers were and register it in their system. They called us detainees. And we were of course not allowed to leave the ship the time we were in the port. There'll be armed guards in every doorways. TL. Doctor, superior engineering officer on ship harassed me and the crew for months till he got snitched by his crew and ended up in his own country he escaped from and finally was shot dead. Second story. Vengeance and justice with one hand. Misery loves history. Apologies, I had originally posted this to NuclearRevenge, but I had forgotten about the no felony rule, so I deleted it and I'm reposting it here. Also, someone with ability should probably make a r/we revenge. Been really wanting to post to this, but unfortunately I myself have never exacted revenge, at least nothing worth posting. But this, I think this may be worth sharing. TL. Doctor at the bottom. Warning contains a story about a Holocaust survivor. This happened to my dad's great granduncle. I will just call him Uncle. NuclearRevenge doesn't want acronyms. I never knew him. He died in 1998 when I was about 5. My dad didn't know him very well either. He was kinda reclusive. Uncle was a Holocaust survivor, but he never really talked about it. He never gave a testimony, never collected reparations, never went back to his homeland, Ukraine, never sought out if his friends or family survived. He just moved to the US, met up with the family he had there, and started over, got married, had kids, all the while never saying much other than I was there. The only reason we know any details about this is because one night one of his sons got him drunk and he spilled the whole terrible story. Later the son found out that the mother knew a fair amount too. She had fled her native land, I think it was Czechoslovakia, just as it was being invaded, so she understood to an extent. But after that he refused to say anything more. The son has been spending the past few years trying to find out more from records and such. I don't know too many details unfortunately. I only met the son once, can't remember his name at all. Uncle was at a concentration camp, we are not sure which, but I think the son said it was Dachau, but don't quote me on that. He was in his late 20s, not more than a day after he got off the train. An officer pulled him aside from the working line and began berating him about being lazy. He then said he needed to be made an example of so the others wouldn't slack off. He took out a cutlass and chopped off Uncle's left hand. The officer told him to get back to work and walked away laughing while Uncle bled out in the snow. The others tried to nurse him and keep him as healthy as he could, but his wounds still got infected and he was sick and slow a lot. Luckily, the others picked up his work and helped him as much as they could. Apparently Uncle had said that he had made peace with the fact that he was going to die there and be fed to the dogs. The officer continued to harass Uncle. He looked for any excuse to beat and demean him. It's a wonder he didn't just shoot him. He took away his food, his shoes, had dogs attack him, made him do tasks that required 2 hands, etc. When the camp was liberated, Uncle went up to a soldier and asked if they had captured any officers. He said they did. He asked if they caught the officer that had tormented him, which he said, while he showed the soldier his stump wrapped in soiled bandages. The soldier brought the officer to him handcuffed and had him on his knees. Uncle then, with soldiers around him, proceeded to choke the life out of the officer with his remaining hand. Evidently it took quite a while, and apparently one of the soldiers offered Uncle their gun, but he stuck with slowly but surely choking the life out of the man that took his hand and tormented him and countless others. Afterwards Uncle got a wooden hand, moved to America, got married, had kids. All the while, whenever someone saw his tattoo or asked him about the war or the camps, he'd just show them his wooden hand and say, I was there, I don't want to go back. I can't imagine the kind of PTSD he must have had from that experience. I can't imagine the pain and trauma it caused him. I doubt he ever got any real help either. It seems that he just took it all to the grave. But things like that shouldn't be forgotten. No matter how painful, they should be remembered. So we as people never allow something like that to happen again. I hope he was at least at peace with himself and at least enjoyed the life he made after that ordeal. TL. Dr. My dad's great-granduncle got his hand chopped off by a Nazi while in a concentration camp. At liberation he proceeded to choke the Nazi to death with his good hand. Yet Gittel Vayet Kadash Mei Rabba. Hebrew prayer for the dead. Edit. OMG a Platinum Award? Thank you so much kind Redditor. It's my first award ever. You guys are awesome. Edit 2. OMG 1k upvotes? Never gotten that much before. Thanks so much. Edit 3. OMG and now gold? Thank you so much. Edit 4. Thank you for the silver. I'll stop with the edits now. Edit 5. Who I should to k upvotes? Thank you all so much.